Arsenal to win the league and also finish in the UCL spot. I'm joking. What will every team achieve in 2023? So yeah, today we are doing what will every team achieve in 2023. Yeah, let's get on with it. So Arsenal are not going to win the league this season. They have been at the top of the table since August. Well, Man City have been in first place a couple of times, but it's basically been Arsenal at the top of the table for most of the season. They will not finish as Premier League champions, but they will be in second and get a UCL spot, meaning they will play in the Champions League next season. I think if Arteta keeps doing what he's doing with the squad, they should surely be in the Champions League next season and maybe even win the league next season. But yeah, they're not winning the league this season. So Aston Villa, not doing too bad this season, but yeah, they definitely need some new players. So they could buy some new players in January. But yeah, they'll probably finish in the bottom half of the table. But yeah, they're not going to go down, but they need to buy some new players in January. So Bournemouth, what have I really got to say? Everyone expected Bournemouth to be in the relegation zone for most of the season. They're not going to stay in the Premier League this season. They are 17th, so just outside the Premier League relegation zone. And yeah, they're going to go down this season. Yeah, relegation. Brentford, Thomas Frank doing really well this season with Brentford. Brentford have now been in the Premier League for 2 seasons. Well, 1 season, not 2 seasons, but they've now been in the Premier League for 1 season and they're doing really well. They will keep Thomas Frank, but they will sell Ivan Toney. I just think that Ivan Toney won't stay at Brentford if he wants to reach his full potential. But they will keep Thomas Frank. So Brighton now, and they are doing really well at the minute. They just recently won 3-0 to Liverpool. But there are improvements needed in the squad. They need to improve the squad a bit. But they will finish top half in the table. Improvements are needed for the squad. It's an alright squad, but improvements are needed if Brighton want to get better for next season. Brighton need to improve their squad a bit, because it's just the same old squad that they have every season. It needs improving, but they will finish top half of the table. So Chelsea haven't been doing the best this season. Graham Potter, I think will stay at the club, but they will not be in the Champions League next season. They will qualify for the Europa League. This season I think isn't going to be the best of seasons for Chelsea, but they can buy a world-class player in the summer and have a good pre-season and have a good Premier League season next season, and they'll be in the Europa League I think, but they just need to buy a world-class player to sort their squad out. So Crystal Palace, their team has just been the same team for the last 5 years now. You've got Eze, you've got Mateta, you've got Lise, but that just isn't enough. They need to improve their team, and Zaha, he's not really too good anymore. He scored about 6 goals, I think, this season. Yeah, not good enough. They will finish mid-table, and they also need to improve their team. And yeah, I think in the near future, Zaha will leave. So Everton now, Frank Lampard will be sacked, and I do think their struggles will continue, but they will survive the relegation zone. Everton just aren't a good enough team anymore. Yeah, they just need to buy some new players, but they're just not a good team anymore. Yeah, they nearly got relegated last season, and I think it might be the same this time round as well. So Fulham, yeah, this season Fulham have been doing really, really well. I think they'll stay up. Um, I think they'll finish top 12. But they need to buy some new players because the players they've got, if they want to stay in the Premier League, isn't good enough. I mean, Paulina, yeah, he's a good player for the team. He is a good player for the team. And Mitrovic scoring goals is quite good for Fulham, but they just need to improve their team, buy some new players for maybe the summer, because I don't think they're going to make any business this season in January. So buy some new players, and I think they will finish top 12. So Leeds United, they were fighting relegation last season, and I think they are going to be fighting relegation again this season. They are currently in 14th, but I think that will change over the course of the season. Jesse Marsch isn't good enough, and they need to get a better defence. Buy some new defensive players, because their defence just isn't good enough. Yeah. The defence just isn't good enough. Yeah. I think they will be fighting relegation this season. They were last season, and I think they are this season. Yeah, but they need to buy some new defenders because their defence just isn't good enough for the Premier League. So Leicester City, they haven't had a great Premier League season. They're currently in 15th. I think they will finish bottom half of the table, but no relegation. And I think Rodgers will be sacked, and I think they will also sell James Maddison as well to a club like Newcastle. Yeah, they will be in the second half of the table, but they will not be fighting relegation. And yeah, Rodgers will be sacked because again, Rodgers isn't good enough. And yeah, I think Leicester City will sack Rodgers, sell James Maddison, and they won't be relegated. Yeah. So Liverpool now, yeah, they need to invest in some new owners. Um, yeah, maybe sign Jude Bellingham, and they will not be winning any trophies this season. The owners they've got currently, yeah, um, yeah, it's just not working. Um, they need better owners. To invest in some new owners would be brilliant for Liverpool. They need to sign Jude Bellingham, and also they need to just improve the squad. Because this type of play that Klopp plays isn't good enough for the team, and the squad has been like this for 3, 4, 5 years now. It's an aging squad, and yeah, it just needs some improvements. So invest in some new owners and possibly sign Jude Bellingham, and there will be no trophies. So now we move on to Man City. They will win the Premier League, they will win the Champions League, and Erling Haaland will win the Golden Boot and break the Premier League goal record. Yeah, I've said it from the start. They'll win the Champions League. They'll win the Premier League, and Haaland will win the Golden Boot and break the Premier League record for goal scoring. Yeah. From right at the start of the season, I've said that Man City will win the Champions League. I still think they will with Haaland. Yeah, and they will win the Premier League again this season. It's got to be. They'll win the Premier League again this season, and yeah, they'll win the Champions League as well. Yeah, there's no improvements to be made to this squad. It's world class. Haaland is just phenomenal right now. And yeah, no improvements to be made. They'll win the Premier League. They'll win the Champions League, and Haaland will win the Golden Boot. So Manchester United now, and they are playing really, really well this season. Erik ten Hag has made a massive difference to the team. Since Ronaldo left, Man United have been playing much, much better. They will get UCL qualification. They will be in the Champions League next season, and they could maybe win the League Cup as well, because they're doing well in that. They recently won 3-0 against Charlton Athletic, and they also won, they're winning a lot of games this season. Yeah, I think they might win the League Cup. They could get to the League Cup final. But yeah, they will get there. Yeah, they'll be in the UCL next season. They'll be in the Champions League. So Newcastle now, and I think it's going to be a good season. They will get UCL qualification, and also they will sign a world-class player, because the squad they have right now isn't good enough for the Champions League. So to be in the Champions League, they're going to have to sign a world-class player, and yeah, Newcastle are having a really, really good season, so it wouldn't surprise me if they got in the Champions League, but they do need to sign a world-class player. So Nottingham Forest now, they're going to get relegated. There will be no January transfer signings, because they already signed like 23 players at the start of the season. And Steve Cooper will stay at the club. Even though they'll get relegated, I think Steve Cooper will stay, because yeah, if they don't, maybe Nottingham Forest might get worse. And yeah, if Steve Cooper stays, it'll just make everything a lot more easier. So yeah. So Southampton now, big investment needed in the squad, and they will get relegated as well. I don't think Nathan Jones' side will be able to stay in the Premier League this season. They're already 20th, and I don't think that will change. But yeah. They will get relegated, but there is big investment needed in the squad and the club. So now we move on to Spurs. No big improvement needed. Antonio Conte will stay, and they will be in the Champions League next season. But they do need to sign a few players, because like just playing Kane and Kulusevski week in, week out just isn't good enough. Kane's just not good enough anymore. And Kulusevski, he just plays week in, week out. So it'd be good to get a new player in the team. So it's West Ham now, and I think Declan Rice will go in the summer. If he wants to improve, then he's going to have to leave West Ham because West Ham aren't good enough. They are currently fighting relegation. I think they will survive relegation. And yeah, they will be in the Premier League next season. But they will also sell Declan Rice. Yeah, he's going to have to move to another club if he wants to improve. So yeah, they will survive relegation, but Declan Rice will go in the summer. So Wolves now, I think they will stay in the Premier League, but also fight relegation. And Raul Jimenez will go in the summer. Their squad just isn't good enough. They need to improve it, buy some new players. They'll stay in the Premier League, but Raul Jimenez will leave in the summer. So I've now done all 20 teams in the Premier League. What will they achieve in 2023? If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do, which means like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. See you later.